Understand that Maricopa time is 7 minutes after the rest of the world because of the trains. So we'll wait for another 5 minutes and get going, okay? Thank you for your patience.
We've got a couple people coming in, so.
That's great.
Very loud, but can you hear? I'll speak loud too. My name is Bill Stacy. I'm the general manager at ED3, and I want to welcome you here tonight for our first energy conservation workshop. And it looks like we had a pretty good turnout. We'll probably have a few more people continuing to come in. But again, I'd just like to thank you on our first annual energy conservation workshop. And depending on the way it looks, there's a good chance we'll do these several times in the future, since we've had such good participation here tonight. And I want to just thank the city, and Paul Jepson here is from the city, and he'll say a few words, but we've done this in conjunction with the city, and they've helped us a lot with, it is being filmed currently, and we'll have that on our website and the city's website.
You're not supposed to tell them it's being filmed.
Oh, yes. That blank wall there has a camera behind it. But again, we'd like to thank the city and everybody who's helped us with this, and our staff who's helped put this on. And Tom Potter, who I guess I'll introduce Tom. Tom has come from Denver, and we'll be putting on this. He does a lot of these presentations, and he'll be talking to you the majority of the time. But again, just want to thank you for coming tonight, and I think you'll find it to be quite interesting.
Thank you, and like I say, I'm Paul Jepson. I'm staff with the city. The city's been very big on working with ED3. We work very closely together. It's everybody's town, and we all trying to do our best to have a good, happy life with low energy bills. So we're real important for that. I wanted to thank also MUSD. MUSD staff is here filming. It's not city staff, it's MUSD. They allowed us to have the facilities. So your school district also, it's a partner in this. And so I don't want to make sure that's noted. I don't know if anybody else is going to pop by. Councilwoman Julia Gussie may pop in. And if she does, I'll just have her, you'll see her here. But thank you all for coming out. And I just want to have one last parting word. Be very careful with the caulking. Okay, thank you.
And I don't need this.
Oh, you don't need it?
Yeah, I've got my own. And let me thank you as well for coming. It's unusual to come out on a hot night, I know, and many of you have been working all day long, so I will try to be, I hate to say it, as entertaining as possible, just so you don't drowse off. I'm a stage actor, and so my voice is very sonorous, as they call it. And I actually have one person probably in each session of 50 people fall asleep to my voice. So don't let that happen, because then if I say you will quit smoking, you will, so. But anyway, I will end this by saying you can really do a lot of saving energy and saving money. And essentially what we're going to talk about today is the energy waste that we get into the habit of, and how we might get out of that habit. So what I'd like to do is give you some information, get some information from you about how things are going, give you some of the information that I've learned. I've been in the biz for about 35 years now. And so I've spent a lot of time in hundreds, maybe thousands of buildings, and talking to a lot of people about how it is that your home can be as comfortable as it could be, and even more comfortable than it is today, but where you don't have to pay through the nose for the utility bill. Now, I ought to say also, though, that the utility bills are a tremendous bargain compared to what they're doing for you. So let's consider that. But we will show you how, if you're wasting energy, we can help you waste less. Okay? Does that sound like a good idea? Any other objectives that somebody might have? What might you like to get out of a workshop like this, besides saving some energy, saving some money? Yes, ma'am.
Learning how to calculate the energy.
Okay, so how to calculate what you're using now and how much you're saving by doing this or that. Thank you, Charlotte. I will make a point of attempting to say, if you do this thing, it will save you 10% or 20% or 30%, okay? The numbers we'll be talking about today, just to get to your point, will be mostly in the 25 to 50% of your energy bill, okay? Those are the targets we're going to go after. Now, let's go back to your original question, and that is, how much energy do you use now? typical out-of-pocket energy bill for a typical American family is $6,000 a year. About $2,000 to $3,000 to the utility company and $2,000 to $3,000 to the petroleum companies. So it adds up to quite a bit of out-of-pocket. Now it turns out that about that amount of money comes out of your pocket in unseen ways. But we're not going to talk about those today. We really are going to talk about specifically, in fact, only the part of it that's going out for mainly housing energy use, okay? So that gives you an idea of the target that we're looking at. The big target is $6,000 you're paying right now. I'm saying to you, if you follow what's in the almanac that you've got in front of you, and the checklist that is in the back of your book that we'll talk about just as we wrap up, you should save 25% of that, which means I'm saying $1,500 if you apply yourself to what is in those places. $1,500 as of a year from today, you will have in your pocket that you don't have today. Is that going to be good for anybody? Okay.
When you say petroleum, you're just referring to like heating oil and stuff like that, or
I mainly mean car gas,
fuel? Okay.
private vehicle fuel. Question over here? Okay, let's get going. Since I've been working in the field for so long and talked to lots and lots of people, I can get digressed very, very easily, as you see with Charlotte's question, and I'll answer it at great depth. If I do that, though, we're not out of here in 90 minutes. So I have established myself a set of slides that we will march through like a drill sergeant, okay? And if I start to get digressed, okay, somebody just wave your hand like that, and that's an indication that, Tom, you're really going off on this one, okay? We'll try not to do that. By the way, before I get started, thank you for being here, but also thank Electric District Number 3 for sponsoring this, and the school district and the city for putting us in this wonderful facility. You can hear me clearly, can't you? And I can see you well, and thank you for putting your name in front, too. I really do like to make sure, Ted, that I'm using your name.
Copies of your slides, is that what this is?
Yeah. This has got a number of things in it. I'll talk about it briefly. Let me hold yours up if you don't mind, Bill. I like that picture so much in the front that I printed it up very big. But anyway, everything else is in regular 8.5 by 11 format. So what you've got there is every one of the slides that I will show, plus just as many slides that I'm not going to show. Because what we're going to concentrate on today is conservation, efficiency, and demand peak reduction. We will not talk about the other two pieces of CEDAR, which we'll talk about in a minute, which has to do with ancillary energy savings, non-metered energy savings, which is a big part of what you're paying for every year. As an example, you may know that your city, certainly Tucson, Phoenix, the entire state of California, 15% of the energy use goes to water. 15%. That's not trivial, okay? In this case, you're pumping it up, did I hear, 1,500 feet from the Colorado River. In the case of California, they're doing all kinds of pumping as well. So 15%. Well, that doesn't appear on your energy bill. Guess what? It appears on your water bill. Okay, so that's ancillary, that is non-metered energy savings, that if you save water, you're actually saving energy and your bills will go down on that. And then finally, we're not going to talk a lot about renewables, okay? But the slides for that, in the event that we get no questions and I don't get a chance to digress at all, the slides are here, and in fact, we might even look at some of those slides, okay? Good. So what you've got here is all of those slides plus more. After you've got that set of things, then you've got a couple of blue sheets. These are skills training. We'll do a little skills training here in a while. After the blue sheets come some tan sheets. This is your checklist to take home. If you will obey that checklist, if you can do whatever you can in your home, by the way, nobody can do everything, so don't feel bad about that, but everybody can do something, okay? This is a whole list of those somethings that you can do. Do whatever's comfortable for you. And then finally at the end, I'll ask you to fill out an evaluation sheet, okay? So that's what that package is in front of you. Let's march right through the slides now. Oh, Bill, I gave you my marker. Here we go. So why would you attend an efficiency workshop? Here are some of the reasons that people give. We now give these workshops in 3 states, Colorado, Arizona and New Mexico. So we're really talking about places that are dry, that are water constrained, and sometimes very hot in the summer. So here are some reasons that people have given me. Of the hundreds of people we've given workshops, this is kind of what the consensus is. What I'm going to do right now is go through one by one, call out your name. What I'd like you to say is your name back to me, and then I'd like you to say a number, which is your primary reason for being here today. Bill?
Save the household money, one.
1. Sherry?
Sheree.
Sheree?
Yeah, save money.
1. Cindy?
1.
Okay. Dutch?
1.
Okay. Ted?
1.
Okay. Bethany? 1. Bart?
3.
3. Got it. Mercy? 6. All right. Patricia?
Number 4, be responsible and not waste resources.
Okay. Fantastic. Joe? 1. Okay. John?
4.
Okay. Lucy? 4. All right. Dick? Okay. Dallas?
2.
2. All right. Good. Mike? 1. Okay. Ken? 4. 4. Charlene? 1. Crystal? 1. Iris? 1. Mary? 1. Good. Bernita?
1, 2, and 4.
1, 2, and 4. Whoa, you're loading up, huh? Okay, great. Elaine? 1. Rich? 1. Wanda?
1 and 4.
1 and 4. Got it. Jane?
I'm going to go 1 and 4 as well.
All right, great. Joanne?
1.
Marla? 1. Becky? 1. Jerry? 1 and 4. I can't see your name. Thank you. Would you leave it a little bit to this side so I can see it, Carrie? Thank you. 1. Rachel?
7.
And tell me what do you mean by 7, Rachel?
To be able to teach my children how to keep safe and
Okay,
because I want them to have the information to be able to share.
absolutely. In fact, let me digress on, well, you stop me if I get too far, okay? But the truth is, many of us will go home to spouses who couldn't care less, or in fact are maybe even mildly negative to this kind of stuff. But the kids are amazingly open to where energy comes from and learning more about that and not wasting it and using it right. And it's an amazing thing, I have found, whenever I've done similar sessions with youngsters, to see their eyes really light up and say, oh, that's what electricity is, or, you know, that's why it's important to save it in the afternoon on a weekday rather than any other time. It's worth 3 times to 5 times as much. Actually, it's probably worth 10 times as much, all the facts come in, to save the energy at on an afternoon in the summer than any other time. Well, kids love to learn about that kind of stuff. So, thank you. Carrie. Oh, and we went there. Alma.
1.
Okay. Charlotte, 1. 1, 2, 4. Amaret, thank you. Let me see your name. Karen. 1, thank you. Nevar?
1 and 4.
1 and 4. Okay. Great. And Gary?
5 and 1 in that order.
5 and 1. Okay, so I hear energy security. Could you talk just a little bit, because you're the only one who said 5.
If we run out of resources, it doesn't matter how much you say, we're not going to have anything.
Okay. So we're looking at the bigger picture of energy security. Okay? That's great. We're not going to ask staff, are we? But staff, you know, why don't you tell me, if you were here without your staff hat on, what would draw you to a workshop like this?
My name is Jeff, and I would say number 1.
Okay.
Myself and for my wife.
Miranda? 1. Dan?
I'd like to think 4, but 1 is a real driver in law life.
Okay. Great. Bill? 1. And Paul?
I'm going to go with 1.
All right.
Because
Great.
everybody needs to have that extra cash so they can go and shop local.
Okay. So even if you had some other reason than one, by the way, you will save some money. So putting $1,500 in your pocket, by the way, that's only going to happen if you apply yourself or have your kids apply themselves. You know, having a kid nag you about, hey, Dad, you're really kind of lead-footed coming out of that stoplight, aren't you? Turns out that that kind of behavior and then rushing up to the next light, even though, as I came down this last series of road, you can see the stoplight way ahead of here. Is it about time to take your foot off the gas, or should we continue racing all the way up to it and then hit the brake, okay? Losing that momentum is a tremendous waste. It turns out that it's 20%, 15 to 25 actually, percent of the gasoline that you're using in your car is just from that activity. Having a kid in the car saying, hey, Mom, do we really need to move out of the light quite so fast, and do we need to race up to the next one and then hit the brakes? Why don't we do it a different way, a little bit smoother, okay? We'll talk about smoother for lots of things. Thanks for sharing those things with me. It is so that of all the people who attend the workshop, clearly people are self-selected to come to the workshop, that most people split into about half, and I'd say we have maybe about half, maybe two-thirds, number one only, and then one-third a mixture, typically about half and half, saving money and other reasons for being in the workshop. So I'm here, I'm simply pitching, I have nothing to sell, but I'm pitching a logical, low-cost reduction of household energy waste. I'd like to introduce to you something we call CEDAR, which is, let's do conservation, mainly behavior first, and then let's talk about efficiency, that is mainly equipment. That's going to cost you money. By the way, changing your behavior isn't going to cost you much money. So we're mainly going to talk about low-cost, no-cost things in this workshop. But I understand that efficiency also involves an investment that could save you some money as well. So here are the numbers we're talking about. 25%. So let's consider the pie chart of your energy use in the house. I'm saying that you can save 25% with behavior alone, another 25% with efficiency investment. So the total number that we're looking at would be 50% of your total energy bill, out-of-pocket energy bill. That would be $3,000 a year. That would be the goal. Half of it achieved with no major investment, the other half with an investment that'll pay off in less than 8 years. The third thing that you don't very often hear about is demand peak reduction, and that is, when is the energy being used? It turns out that the reason that many coal plants and nuclear plants and all kinds of other plants have to be built is to take care of the summer afternoon. Now, with your summer afternoon getting started pretty early this year, right? Today, so what was the high today? May still be heading for it, huh? 109.9. 109.9? I thought I heard 115 on the way down from Phoenix. But okay, 110 degrees today. And Dan, were you saying it typically doesn't hit that for another few weeks? So maybe we're just a little ahead of the curve. Very important that at this point of the day, when all of the utility plants are running full out, that the energy be saved. Turns out that just by transferring the energy you're using now to the night ends up being a saving in prime energy of 10 to 40%. So for anybody who's here for the green reasons, that's another reason to do something at peak, even more important than all the rest of the time.
When is peak?
Say it again?
When is
peak? Peak, for your time of use rate that we'll talk about a little later, it's from 9 in the morning until 9 at night, okay? Now, a supercritical or spike peak, Bill, maybe you could tell us, when might that be? 5 o'clock. So 4 to 5, between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock, just when things are really getting toasty and people are coming home and now turning on the air conditioning that had been turned off or turned back or whatever. Okay, a lot of things hitting the system at the same time, and typically that power is a lot more expensive than power at the rest of the time.
So dishwashing, laundry, washing the laundry before 9 in the morning and after 9.
That would be best. And in fact, we'll talk about a rate that your utility company offers you that will offer, you can use the power off-peak for 1/3 the cost of using it on-peak. 1/3 the cost. A big deal. There are people who, doing nothing other than changing the rate and changing when they use their power, can save 25% just doing that. If you did that and then saved 25% with the things we're talking about, you're already talking about 50% savings. So, great opportunities here. Today we are not going to talk about ancillary or non-metered energy savings. I already did talk about it to say, what it is that they mean, and that is water is a good example of energy savings. And we're not going to talk about renewables today very much, okay? So here's what we're looking at, and if we said, how would we concentrate the limited amount of time we've got today, what you'd have to do is say, where's the big target? Well, the big target is heating and cooling. So in your particular climate here in Maricopa, cooling is the big lion's share of this, and you've got a very small sliver of heating. Up in Denver, it's about 2/3 cooling, 1/3 heating. In other parts of the country, maybe it's half and half or whatever. But in our part of the West, cooling is really the big load here. So if we were going to say that we've got a limited amount of time and let's concentrate that time on the biggest target, what we'd say is the biggest target has got to be this one. Let's go for it. Okay? The next target would be water heating. After that, we've got a number of things that add up to a lot: refrigeration, lighting, electronics, and other kinds of loads. So this is to give you an idea of where our in-home targets are today. So what we're going to do is attempt with the 25%, and you might say, gee, 25% is a lot. How are we going to get there? Here's my idea of what you can do. We're going to harness direct human factors to get us 10%. And what we're going to do is, I will attempt to show you today how you can run your house 3 degrees on the thermostat warmer than you do now and still maintain the comfort. Okay? If you can't do it, don't. Take it 2 degrees warmer than it is now. Okay? But I think I can show you how you will be just as comfortable. By the way, in a workshop I did in New Mexico, 5 of the men had long sleeve shirts on in weather like this. Is that a good idea? No. Well, I heard some yeses. Yes, because it...
The Army does that now.
The Army wants long sleeve?
This summer, orange stones.
Okay. Rachel?
It protects you from the sun when you're outside.
Good point. Okay. Alma, did you have another reason why a long sleeve shirt?
No, my father wore long sleeve shirts for that reason.
Okay. Actually, inside, I really meant in the class, but a good point about being outside. Vernie, do you have a point?
I was just going to say it helps you to perspire, and the perspiration is too.
Okay. I think one of the things we'll address here is let's not go overboard to get too warm so that we can perspire more. Let's let perspiring take place and then take care of the perspiring. That's what we'll try to do. And just to give you a hint of what that will involve, turns out that perspiring is a tremendously effective way for humans to lose heat. This is a 1-pint bottle, was of tea, but it could be, let's call it of water. On a hot day, if I was walking from here to Phoenix, this would be 3 pints I would lose of water in an hour. The body just would attempt to cool itself. Each pint is equal to 7 pounds of ice in cooling. Each pint of water lost cools you that much. That's a big deal. So your point about perspiration is exactly right, and that is it's very, very cooling, okay? What we'll try to do is to show how to maximize that without making you uncomfortable. One of the ways to do it, by the way, is to move air across you. So fans, very simple way. Moving air across you is the simplest way to cause cooling to take place.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What would be a temperature that you would set the house that you could set it 3 up or 3 down? Is that your own personal decision?
It's from wherever it is now. I don't want to set any temperature for anybody. In Socorro, New Mexico, I asked for the first time the question, what is the maximum temperature that you set your house at? I'm going to ask this question now, so listen to it. What's the maximum temperature you set your house at when there are people in the house during the day? If you think it's high, raise your hand and tell me what that number is. What is it? 82. 86. 86.
84.
84.
I have my upstairs at 84, my downstairs at 83. I leave it, never touch it.
83 and 84. The reason, by the way, that it's important for people to hear that is how in the heck could somebody have their temperature that high? In Socorro, New Mexico, the winter was 88. Okay, he wouldn't turn on the air conditioning until it was 88 degrees, and I'll tell you, he had the lowest utility bill in the room. Now you might say, yeah, but he wasn't very happy, was he? Truth is, he was happy as a clam. He had fans operating. He kept the moisture out of the house. He kept himself, ladies, I don't want to suggest this is for you, but he kept himself very well ventilated. Everybody in the room here is issued, as an adult, 20 square feet of skin. That's what you got. That's what you got to cool with, all right? That's all you got to cool with. Take it back. You have 800 square feet of skin inside your lungs, which is accessible by breathing, which is why when you breathe in deeply once. Feel how cool that is in your lung? Guess what? Evaporation's taking place. When you breathe out, slowly, that's completely saturated with moisture now. And that's why, by the way, you've got to keep putting the moisture in you all the time, summer and winter in this climate, by the way. Ought to be taking, I hate to say it, 8 big glasses of water. Anybody do that pretty religiously every day? Look at that. What happens when you don't do it? Bill? I'm sorry, not Bill. Gary. Yeah, people feel lousy when they don't because what happens is your electrolytes start getting denser and they don't do what you ought to do. Anyway, this is my bit of excitement here. I told people that I was going to take my shirt off and put this on, and people said, please don't. I mean, we don't need that. Okay, we'll remember that. What we're looking for is exposing as many of the square feet that you've been issued by God as you can. So people wearing shorts, especially in your own home, folks, you know, people wearing shorts, people wearing nothing. I think in this issue of the Almanac, there's a person who vacuums nude, okay? That's their idea of a good time. I don't know. Not for me. Okay, but holy T-shirts, even not on Sunday. So the first thing we'd do would be to capture that 25%. We'll get 10% of it by setting the temperature up 3 degrees in the summer. So you were saying, I'm sorry, Cindy, that what should it be? Let me ask you, and I think you said yours was 83?
84.
84.
I don't know that I could do 87.
Okay, interesting question. So Charlotte might tell us, actually, and I'll give you a chance a little later if you want to be thinking about it, Charlotte, how does a person and how does their family, because we have a bunch of nuts, by the way, out there, and let's not say that you want to impose something that's impossible on your family. So let me put it that way, and that is you, Charlotte, may decide that you want to do this, but what about your kids and your spouse and the in-laws and so on? When they come, do they start talking bad and trash about you? You know, that may be. I don't know. You can think about that. You can think about that, and maybe we come back to that. Yes?
I have a question.
Yes?
Does it matter like how small or how big your house is? Like the bigger homes, you can put the degrees up and somehow the house stays cooler because it's so big versus the smaller homes. It's like
There is a point about mass, and that is the more you can cool the whole thing, the harder it is when the heat does come in to warm it all back up again. But that's really expensive way to go. And so what we think about is the fact that your house has got, a typical house has got 80 tons of mass. And let's call a typical person 160 pounds. I know you ladies aren't 160 pounds, but let's call a typical person 160 pounds. What we're really saying is if you can cool that person compared to cooling 80 tons of mass, you can cool that person a whole lot cheaper than you can cool the 80 tons of mass. So even though it's true that a bigger home is going to be easier to keep you cool in, what we really want to get down to is you are the person who needs the cooling. The house doesn't care. The house, let me say that again. The house does not care what temperature it is, okay? You care what temperature it is, and your family cares what temperature it is. The house does not. So quit thinking you have to cool the whole house, okay? And already many of you have said, well, we've got kind of buffer areas. We don't put too much cooling into that. And then it's our core areas where we try to keep cool. I'll tell you, if you want to get some 25% savings or 10% of the human factors piece, move that down even closer and closer to you. You're the one who needs the cooling. The house does not.
My husband and I disagree on something. We're going to go to San Diego, and he wants to leave, he always leaves the air on.
Yeah.
And even if we're going 4 or 5 days, and I say, no, turn it totally off. And then we come back, turn it on. He said, no. So what would be the best way?
Well, I don't want to advise you how to run your household, but the facts of the matter are that you can let that house cycle on up and down and back and forth when you're not there, and by the time you come back, it's going to be, depending on how hot it is, and at the moment you show up, it could be uncomfortable for a couple of hours because it's going to take a long time for that system to come back. And maybe that's what he's trying to do, is save you the discomfort of that. But that discomfort is costing you a lot of money. Okay? So if you're going to be gone for a while, even during the day, many people will shut their system off, and you've got one of those smart thermostats, you can have the system turn itself back on again an hour before you show up. See, get one of those things. They're very inexpensive, and they will pay themselves off in less than a year with savings exactly like that. So that'll satisfy what your husband wants to do, and that is he wants to keep you comfortable, but it'll also keep more money in your pocket.
So the debate we have in our family is, what's the amount of time that you have to be gone from your home to warrant turning off the air and coming back and having your air conditioning to have to work overtime?
Yeah. The air conditioning can only work so hard. I mean, it will run it'll run its little heart out at a certain speed. So it's not going to hurt it, okay? You may have some discomfort. So it really comes down to how tolerable you are with that. Secondly, sometimes air conditioning systems are undersized for the house. More often, by the way, they're oversized for a house because the guy who put them in really didn't want any callbacks, and he says, I'll never get a callback if I oversize it. So he oversized it. That's costing you a lot of money. So it's kind of like with a light bulb. They say how long. The best habit to get into is when you're leaving the room, turn the light off. You know, there may be a little bit of wastage by coming back in again in 30 seconds, turning it back on again. But if you get in the habit of turning the air conditioning off when you leave, turning the lights off when you leave a room, those are good habits to get into, and they will pay you off.
So even if you're gone for just 1 hour, it's worth
Sure.
it to...
Sure.
Okay.
Because in some cases, my son lives in a very heavy house, and it's the same issue in winter, and that is, do you do heavy night setback in a solid masonry house? The typical answer is no, but in fact he does it, and his family is able to tolerate it much cooler than I would think it was nice, all day long. It never does catch up, by the way. It never does catch up, okay? But then the next night starts, okay? And he has saved money. And if his family can live with it, what can I say? Okay? Gary?
You know, every air conditioning guy that I've ever talked to says, save money, you set your air conditioning at a certain temperature, and you leave it there.
Then they're wrong. And so you do know now, because you're hearing it from me, and I'm the guy. You know? Yeah. I don't have air conditioning to sell. I don't have replacement air conditioning to sell that's based on running hours. I don't have any reason to lead you astray on this. So what I would say is this. He may say that in Vanita's case that she ought to go away, go ahead and leave that thing at 68 or 72 or whatever it's at, and it really will be best. No, it won't be best, and it's as simple as that. Go ahead.
I was always under the impression that if you turned your air conditioner on during the day and everything got hot in the house, it took more energy to actually take that heat soaking out.
It won't take more energy. The point I made here is that the air conditioning can only run at a certain speed, and it will burn that energy at that speed. You may not get the comfort you want as quick as you like, and that's really what it comes down to. But if that's the case, what I'd suggest to you is, if you're going to be gone for a work day up in Phoenix, and you're coming back to Maricopa, and you know it's going to be 117 degrees, depending, again, it depends on how much oversized or undersized your system is, but set that smart thermostat to turn that thing on an hour before you get back, and let it run its little heart out, And meanwhile, you sit yourself down with a cool smoothie and get some of those clothes off, and get the fan going.
It's going to cycle off and on. The air conditioner will run longer if I leave it on during the day than if I just come in.
Absolutely. Sure. Okay. Let me move on from that because I may have to call digression on you guys, okay? We're going to improve the thermal shell as well, and that is heat leaks, air leaks of one kind or another. In this case, it's heat leaking in. I think today about going out, I'm the Colorado facilitator for Wind for Schools. I put wind turbines into schools, and my colleague down here in Arizona, by the way, puts in wind turbines at schools around windy parts of Arizona, and there are windy parts of Arizona. But even out here today, you had a reasonable breeze, a 7 to 10 mile an hour breeze, okay? And you had 115-degree temperature. To the extent that your house is leaky, what the air is doing is just blowing through your house with 115-degree temperature. You need to stop that. So reducing air leaks is going to be the biggest deal, and I believe that with what we show you today, you should be able to reduce air leaks by 50%. Okay? We're going to spot insulate. We're going to block the summer sun. On the way back from Walmart, I noticed 200 homes, and of the 200 homes, perhaps 100 of them had sun shields of one kind or another, shades of one kind or another. None of them had truly reflective film or foil on their windows. You need it, folks. You've got the strongest sun in the country, the longest lasting, most reliable sun in the country, and it's killing you, okay? You know, what Paul was telling me, there are people who are driven out. You used a different phrase.
They abandon, I can't remember what I usually bail on.
They bail, that's what it is. You have to bail on certain rooms of your house. What's this about, folks? You know, you understand, and you do, that you live in a hot, dry place. Get used to it, okay? And part of getting used to it is understanding that that sun beating down on your house and going through your windows is a big part of what you're having to pay to replace. You know, you're having to pay to get that heat out of there. Quit doing that. Don't let it in. Okay? Different ways of not letting it in. I'll pass around. You pass them going different directions. Here's some film here. Take a look at it, look through it. Actually, when you put it on a piece of glass, you'll see that it actually makes it, if they're going to have a reflection on it, you'll see it makes the glass grayer. The light that comes in will be bluer. 85% reduction in heat through that window with that on it. I ought to see a whole lot more windows with that. In Denver, by the way, I don't know where it came from, but in Denver what we got is people who actually put aluminum foil on their window, and they'll poke holes in it just so that there's enough light in the room so it doesn't look like a cave, right? Those little tiny holes, by the way, because your eyes are so adept by a factor of 10,000, your eyes can accept and give you a picture back from relatively dark places. The holes can take care of the lighting you need with just a very small amount of light coming through those pinholes, and yet those pinholes amount to only 2% of the solid area. So why don't I see taped up aluminum foil? It's ugly. I'll give you that. It's ugly. This is a whole lot prettier than that. Say it again? The homeowner association? Okay. Paul was talking, though, about something that he doesn't see too much anymore, which is little tiny louvered outside applied sunscreens that have reflective on the outside that used to be standard in this part of the world, but now are moving out of style. And now I've talked to people who make standard Venetian blinds of the thin Venetian blind, one half of which is silvered, and the other half is your choice of color. Okay? Great, and I don't know how a homeowner association could say anything about that. Okay. And that's the thing to do, is keep that sun from coming in, because, folks, it's killing you.
Does it keep it cold out in the winter as well?
Well, this will block the sun that you're getting from the winter, but the offset in terms of how much savings you're getting during the summer as opposed to how much you're losing in the winter means that this really is still a better deal. But yes, it does. It blocks it just as well. Although what the people who make the film say is it reflects the heat that's trying to get out during the winter. Now, in fact, it does do that as well. So you get a little bit of benefit. Go ahead.
Just really quick, so those really dark screens, what does that do?
Well, I'm sorry to say, if the screen is on the outside of the glass, the screen is doing a good job is shading the window. Shading is what you're after. And whether you do it with an overhang, okay, whether you do it with a tree, and let's see some more trees, folks, okay? You can do it with trees, you can do it with vines, you can do it with trellises, you can do it with other things that are acceptable to homeowners associations, okay? You've got to stop the sun from coming through that glass and secondarily even hitting the side of your house, okay? You can do that lots of different ways that are acceptable to homeowners associations.
One of the problems we have here, and I'm really new here, I've only been here about a year and a half, but the windows they put in these houses are the cheapest windows you could find.
Sure.
And in the afternoon, my house faces the wet east, so in the afternoon, you can put your hand on those frames we have two-story, on the frames of those windows, and they're hotter than Hades.
Yeah.
And so we took them out and replaced them with a high-quality window, and now you can leave the shades open and you can touch wherever the sun is.
Yep.
It's not hot.
It's a good point. However, I'll make a point to you that I have a co-presenter in Denver and in Colorado who has been in the biz. He's done 35,000 retrofits of homes. He sells windows. He says to me, Tom, do you know what the payback is for a dual pane window on top of a window that's already there that you could otherwise put a storm window on to stop all of this, a low E, that is a film storm window? 241 years.
I plan on living a long time.
Okay? And the problem with 241 years is bad enough by itself, even though with longevity taking place and all of these new pills and everything, we may live to see it, okay? However, there is not a single window, I'll repeat that, not a single window made in North America that will last longer than 30 years against moisture. Not one.
Moisture?
Moisture.
Well, that's not a problem here.
No, it is a problem here, in fact. Windows fail because moisture, which you don't see in the air, but moisture gets in there and then condenses and then permanently spots the window on the inside where you cannot clean it. So even though you think you don't need the moisture barrier because you don't have that much rain and stuff, the moisture in the air is what actually works through the seal. So there's not a window that will last longer than 30 years. So 241 years with the window only lasting 30 years puts it into perspective. So think about another thing than replacing your windows completely. And mainly we'd talk about exterior applied storm windows that have low E.
Well, I'll be gone in 30 years anyway, so what it did is made a huge difference in our upper
I'll bet it did.
A
It did.
huge difference.
Sure.
We just did it on the west.
And you know what? Sometimes, this is not to say that anything I say is whatever you need to do. You need to do what you need to do. And many people in my workshop say that they have replaced the entire upper floor of windows because the other ones looked ugly. Well, that's a reason to replace things. I mean, that works. Okay, increase the winter solar, but night insulate. Then raising equipment efficiency, so improving air handler flow, reducing the time and volume at temperature, and improving distribution. So we'll talk about all of those. This is how we get 25%. Let's talk about hot water. How might we capture a strong goal with hot water? Firstly, how many people use only cold water with their wash? Show of hands. Okay, the rest of you take a look at all those hands, would you please? Okay, and many people believe that, thank you, many people believe that you need to have a special detergent, or many people believe that you're not going to get the clothes as white. Let me have a testimonial from somebody who washes in cold water. Do you need a special detergent?
I wash all the time, using cold water. I don't need either.
Okay.
Is that a white shirt?
Is that a white shirt? Okay, Bill. And where'd those stripes come from? That's what I want to know. No, but it is true that the 80% of the energy use in the laundry cycle is in the hot water. It's not in the washing machine. There's just a motor turning it around, right? Okay, so consider this, that you do not need a special detergent, that you will get the clothes as clean. I would say, by the way, seeing all the dust devils coming down here, that you may have an issue with dust. And as we talk about sealing up homes, by the way, with this caulking, ladies, one of the first things you're going to notice when you properly caulk and weather strip your house is you're not going to have to dust as often. Okay? That's right. Really, because that's one of the most important impacts of sealing up a house is all the dust that's now just walking through your house. It literally is. Stop it right there at the wall. And by the way, when you stop it at this wall, you might say, well, I don't have to do it on this side. Do it on this side too. Because if the air cannot go out, the air will not come in. Okay? So you do it all around the house, not just from the direction of the prevailing wind. Joe?
Well, they talk about washing their clothes in cold water. I'm from the Seattle area and I'm new down here also. But it's their cold water here is hot water.
That's a good point. And in other words, you might even say, why would somebody use it? Okay.
The tanks are above ground and heck, I don't even have my hot water tank on. I got enough hot water to take a shower.
The good point. That's a good point. Okay. And I heard of a single guy, by the way, who just used the pilot light because he used so little hot water that the waste heat from the pilot light was enough he just turned off the main burner. And so you can do some unusual things. So you can, let me go back to that. Personal hygiene, let's get some low flow fixtures. In the bag you have here is a low flow shower head. If you can't use it, give it to a friend or relative, please. Don't dig too much in your bag. I'm going to give you a chance to dig in the bag later for those of you who are bag diggers. System-wide, hot water leaks, amazing amount of hot water going out through that. Dishwashing, let's get full loads on. Folks, the reason that yellow stickies were invented was so that you can use them, so that the rest of the family and you will be reminded every time you use the dishwasher, wash only full loads, okay? Standby losses, tank temperature and pipe insulation. We have up here some pipe insulation. I'll pass this around. This is what the stuff looks like. If you don't have this on all of your hot water pipes, it just opens up like this and goes around the pipe. And when you bring it to a certain, you can cut it with a piece of, you can actually rip it also.
So it just prevents the loss of the heat.
That's right.
that's created.
The heat is getting lost out of those pipes, and you don't need the heat getting lost in this climate, that's for sure. You don't need another heater in the house.
Around the pipes, the hot water pipes.
Around the pipe. Just a minute, let me see if I've got a picture of a pipe. I don't.
They're all in the wall.
Pardon?
They're all in the wall.
You're only going to be able to get to the part of the pipe that's right off the water heater. So, and
That's what, 2 feet.
yeah, 2 feet, then do the 2 feet. Okay? These come in 6-foot sticks. Buy a 6-foot stick and give one to a friend or relative.
You know, they also make those little insulators that you put right on the hot water tank itself that separate they don't transmit heat from the tank to the pipe. So they reduce the amount of inducted heat that goes out the pipes.
I don't know.
Never seen that?
No, I wouldn't. I do know these work. I think what actually happens is it's going out through the liquid. So there are traps in the new water heaters that don't have so much go out. But if you feel those pipes, you'll feel them being warm. So insulating changing the tank temperature, putting pipe insulation on, and insulating the water heater, all of those are things that you can do right now. Notice that whatever heat loss you lose from the water heater is going into your house. And why would you need that extra heat going into your house? You don't. So don't take it. Okay?
The other thing we did was put on a circulation pump and set it to when we take our showers and everything, so when the back of the house, you don't run 15, 20 minutes of water to get hot.
Interesting. Interesting idea. Often done in apartment houses so that they don't have to have major losses coming from it. Yes, ma'am. Say it again? Okay, so those are just big wide shutters, right? Wood. Anything that shades is going to be better if it's on the outside. If it's on the inside, not so good. If it's on the inside, then what's happening is the sun comes in, strikes it, turns to heat. Okay? You need something on the inside, if it's going to be on the inside, that is very reflective, that will send as much out as possible, but because glass is not perfectly transmissive, it's only 85% transmissive. So if you have dual pane glass, you're only getting 70% of the light in to begin with, okay? You're losing 30% to heat. But however, the rest of the 70% will hit that shutter, turn to heat, and then there's nothing you can do about it. Not so good. I like to say that a freezer in a garage costs your utility company, remember this is your utility company, guys, right? So whatever money it costs the utility company to serve that freezer, and I'm going to say that costs $3,000 to $5,000 to serve that freezer in the garage. Because if it's 115 degrees out right now, what temperature is it in your garage, Amaret?
Probably 140.
Yeah, crazy. And I worked with the insulation in refrigerators and freezers some time ago when I worked at the National Renewable Energy Lab. I've been in every one of those factories. Whirlpool's factory, I've been in the factories. There's not a single refrigerator or freezer that is properly insulated today. In fact, one of the pieces of advice I'll give you is re-insulate your refrigerator and freezer. What I have to say is, if you're going to have that in the garage, then insulate the heck out of it. I'll show you. I'll show you. From the day you buy it, you have to insulate it. It's poorly insulated, it's not insulated well enough, and in a 140-degree garage, that refrigerator is costing you $10 to $25 a month in the summer in energy bill, and it's costing utility $3,000 to $5,000 to serve it. Okay? That's crazy. That's just crazy stuff. Go ahead.
So moving into, like, in Japan, the inside, it's best to bring it inside, or is it going to cost about the same amount?
You know, we ship up crawfish from Louisiana once a year in our family, and so I cannot get rid of the freezer in my garage. So I have insulated that freezer with 2 inches of foam all the way around it, okay? You can't do it inside, so yeah, it's outside, so yeah. So the whole thing is insulated. So, however, if I had room to move that freezer on the inside, that's exactly what I'd do. Because in Denver, Colorado today, maybe it's 85 or 90 degrees, okay? That's not 140, but that freezer is not doing me any good. It's costing me $15 to $25 a month. For one shipment a year of crawfish, it turns out to be fairly expensive crawfish is what it comes down to. Yeah, no, we'll talk about it in a minute. When we get to the appliances, we'll talk about it here, okay? Now we're ready, but I'm way behind. What does my agenda say? And add 7 minutes to it. Where should I be at this very moment in time? Look at that. It's all gone away. I've lost it. What's the first page? The very first page is the agenda. We're just going to module 2 now. It should be 6:52. What time is it?
7:28.
Oh, no. Stop me before I digress anymore. Okay. We won't take quite as many questions, okay? Just so that we can handle it all, and we can stay a little bit later if you have some questions that you want to have answered for your own house, okay? So what we want to do is maintain or improve the comfort in your house while paying less. So that we need to better understand comfort and low-cost ways to maintain it. So the first topic we've got is comfort and human metabolism. Sounds kind of complicated, but you'll see. 3 forms of heat transfer and the key role of evaporation. Okay. Very interesting observation that we make is that humans give off heat all the time. Now, everybody knows that. You know that you give off heat, that the reason that you're hot right now doesn't have to do with this room as much as what your metabolism is doing at this moment in time. How much heat do you give off? Many of you have heard of BTUs. Has everybody heard of a BTU? What does a BTU mean? British Thermal Unit. That's right. It's enough heat to raise 1 pint of water 1 degree Fahrenheit. It turns out that's exactly the amount of heat given off by burning a kitchen match all the way through. Okay? Now, if I can get it lit, let's try this. Oh, it's so sad when that happens, isn't it? Could you use one of these pans and kind of dig out around there so that wick is open? Turns out that the amount of heat that you give off in your body is 300 BTUs per hour. And that is exactly 1 kitchen match after another kitchen match being burned. So in the old days, what I did was I just burned 1 kitchen match after another for a whole 90 minutes. And then I got smart and said, why don't I like that? That's how much heat your body is giving off all the time. Here's the most important thing for you to learn today about your comfort and how much it costs. We've already talked about 80 tons is what the house is, and 160 pounds, you wish, is what you are, okay? This is how much heat you're giving off. All your body cares about is getting rid of that amount of heat. If you can get rid of that amount of heat, yeah, one of these smart Maricopa flies. Who was telling me the Maricopa smart? He almost killed himself. You know, that's how smart. I think he's flying around with Sin's wings right now, you know. And he's called a smart Maricopa fly. We'll see. He may do this again. If you get rid of the heat, take a look at this. If you get rid of the heat of that amount of heat, then you don't care what the temperature of the house is, do you? Your body absolutely reacts to the fact that you will not survive unless you get rid of that heat. So as soon as you come into a room and have to start fanning yourself because the room has not got enough air moving on you, by the way, the air is fine here, and I've got a wonderful seat here. If somebody is fanning themselves in the back of the room and would like to sit up here, you're welcome to, okay? It really would. It would. Okay. Well, we're going to talk in a minute about conduction, and that is, can I have you sit on something cold? Okay. Here's 7 pounds of ice, which is how much? Okay. This is the amount of heat, and in some cases, maybe 2 candles worth of heat. Okay, is all that has to be gotten rid of. You do not have to. You do not have to. Let me repeat that. Cool the whole house off. Your body cares about getting rid of that amount of heat. Summer and winter. Now, you say, well, I don't want to get rid of it in the winter. That's fine. You don't have to. In fact, if you can insulate yourself well enough, won't that heat you? Certainly in this climate. Now in Denver, by the way, we push it kind of hard to say that I can heat myself with the amount of heat that's being given off. Because I have, here's a demonstration, I work on the computer a lot, and I try to run my temperature. In Denver, by the way, we're able to ask, what is the coolest you send your temperature for the family during the day? You know, what do you run it at? Those numbers are amazingly low, 58, 54, okay? Well, for somebody who's working on the computer, you can get away with it, but you better have something on everything except the ends of your fingers and your ears. So I carry earmuffs for colder climates and these gloves that don't have finger ends on them because you can do it. And this amount of heat, in fact, is enough with layered to keep you warm. And the amount of money you save is a tremendous amount. Once again, folks, let's put it in perspective. You don't have to do any of this stuff. You know, nobody can do it all. I mean, I like to think I do 90% of it. I can't do it all. Plus which I have a spouse who says, no, you won't do it all. Okay? Okay? So nobody can do it all. However, everybody can do something. And this really is up to you to decide how much of this can I do. And many of you shake your heads at this candle example. But think about it. You've got 20 square feet of skin. Expose as much of it as you can. That's what it really comes down to. And move air across it. And keep the water out of your house during the summer. If that means you have to move some of the plants out, do it. If that means you have to vent the shower and the bath, do it. If that means that you don't do a lot of boiling and canning during the heat of the day, do it. Okay? Keep the moisture out of your house, and that's going to cool you off to the extent that you can be cool, and if you're comfortable, why do you care what the temperature of the house is? It doesn't care. Does not care. Okay? So, that's our metabolism lesson for the day. All right? I'm going to leave the candle burning. Maybe I'll put it up here a little higher so you can all see it. All right? I've left my clicker somewhere. Things will never advance. Robert, are you there? Have you got a clicker? Have you got a backup clicker for the guy who lost his clicker? Where?
On the shirt, so your shirt. It It's on your shirt.
Not your shirt, but
Oh, that shirt. Thank you. Thanks, Paul. So you've got to shed this heat 24/7 or you're dead. If you don't get rid of this heat, so everybody knows this. I mean, you don't have to know it. Your body knows it. And when you walk into a hot room and you say, oh my God, I can't stand this. You walk into a humid room, you go to Louisiana during the summer, 95 degrees, 95% humidity. And by the way, though, how do you lose the heat in Louisiana? Let's say Louisiana because it's a little harder there because it's so humid, okay? These are the three classic forms that heat transfers. It's kind of interesting to think about these, about your body and also about your house, okay? So there's conduction, and conduction is saying the heat in all of this comes up and starts burning your hand at some point. Pretty straightforward, direct molecular action, okay? Convection, which says that things get hotter in the bottom. When they get hotter, they expand, and when they expand, they start moving up. That happens with air. That happens with liquids, okay? That's why we have this thing. Unfortunately, I shipped it upside down, so all of the wax is stuck here, so I can't give you a good demonstration. Typically, at this point in time, these bubbles are getting heated by the little lamp at the bottom, and they expand, they go up here, they cool off a little bit, they cool off, and they drop down. So it's kind of an interesting thing to look at. But convection is what that's all about, okay? So hot air moving. So above each of you, think of it this way, is a plume of air. If we had an infrared camera, the camera would show you as red, and above each of you, especially some of you, there'd be a plume. It would look like flames. That's right. Okay, so that's what's happening with convection, and that is the warmer air is rising, it's being replaced. You need to leave lots of room for the air to come in, cool you off, and then move out, okay? No tight things, no tight things, no tight things here. No tight things, okay? All loose things. Radiation. Very big deal in this climate because of your sun, right? So the sun is the biggest radiator you've got, and that radiation is coming down, and you can feel it. Let me pass around something here. It's a piece of aluminum, just aluminum. But I'm going to pass it around. I want you to hold it just about an inch from your face. Hold it there for a few seconds, and what you'll find is, by the way, when you catch the aluminum, it's the temperature of this room, which may be 72 or 74, but it feels cold. Why does it feel cold? Because your body's dumping heat at 98.6. Has to dump that heat at the rate of that candle. So 72 to 74 feels cold. But when you hold this up to your face, an inch or so away, don't touch the face, what you'll feel is, it feels like there's heat coming from that. Where's the heat coming from? It's coming from you. That's right. So all this time, you're radiating heat out. Getting rid of all this extra clothes that we wear helps you get rid of the heat by radiation, by convection, as we talked about, by conduction. Sitting on a seat like this in your house, by the way, is going to be a lot cooler for you than sitting on overstuffed cushions. They actually act as insulation. So move away from overstuffed cushions during the summer. Sit on plastic or metal, preferably. Okay? 3 ways that heat is lost from a house and from a person. However, the most body heat is lost by evaporation. And let me repeat that again, that we've got, with 1 pint of water evaporated, the equivalent cooling of 7 pounds of ice. That's a big deal, folks. Big deal. So keep the hydration going on so that you can take care of this kind of cooling, and you won't have to pay so much to cool your house. Okay? Any questions about heat transfer and that? Okay? Good. The comfort payoff. We need to think about the kinds of things that affect heat movement. One is the difference in heat and vapor. Another is the area, and the other is the time. You can actually control all 3 with the kind and type of clothes you wear and the air movement that you do. So the main point of it all is to say, during the summer, get as much of the clothes off as you can. I suppose one day we'll be, well, getting rid of more of our hair as well. And then get as much air moving over you and make sure that air is dry so that keep the moisture level down in the house. By controlling your personal comfort, you can greatly reduce cooling cost in the house. Okay, so that's heating and cooling. Let's see what else we've got. Module 3, we're going to move on to skills training. Miranda and Nancy, can you help now with the... Reach into your bag, folks, and take out a caulking gun. Take the wrapper off, set it to the side. Don't throw it on the floor. It's just a big mess to pick up. If you don't mind, I'll work with you on yours, okay? I'm not going to do anything. Nope. Oh, would you like to do it? Sure. Bill, would you help the people? And I'll show you here in a minute what we're going to do.
Cut the top off?
Yes, that's what we'll do, but not just yet. Dallas, can you be the person in this row that does sharp things? Can you do that? And I'll tell you what, Mike, could you help in this row? Look at that.
I'm double sharp.
Rachel, can you do it in your row? Can you be the sharp knife person? Look at that. Here's a lady who's ready, okay? Good. Take out the tube of caulk, please, that's in your bag. The caulking gun the trigger is in all the way in. You need to pull this out. Pull this rod all the way out. Take the caulking tube and put it in. You're staying on top of it. Pull that all the way out. Take the caulking tube. You people, the latecomers have got the. You don't have to do this fancy thing, okay? Okay. Now, once the thing is loaded, yes. That's right. In the back, they don't have the caulking gun. Actually, ladies, in the back row, if you would like to, Charlotte, if you guys would like to have a full kit, I think we have 5 full kits up here. Why don't you come up and get them, please? Thank you. Bart, would you help distribute those 5 kits to the ladies in back? Bart, here's another one. Joe, pick that up once for me and just hold it up. The insulation. The tube insulation. Folks, some of you have got a bag of this tube insulation in your bag as well. Turns out that the vendor didn't have everything he was supposed to have, so he gave us some bags have a few extra things in them, okay? Just a minute. We will in a minute. Folks, the person at the end of your row is going to help you with this. We're going to cut the end of the tube. It can be cut off like this, leaving you about an angled cut. You don't have to do that yourself, but watch how it's done because you may want to do that at home for your next one. So the person at the end of your row is going to walk down the row and cut each of those for you. Can you help with that, Dallas? Dallas, can you help with that? Once you've cut yours, help everybody else get theirs cut? Let's have these out.
I told them we would pick them up. Oh, okay.
Once that's been cut off, you will get one of these spikes, a roofing spike. Inside of this tube of caulk, is another container. That container must be pierced. We're going to pierce it with a roofing spike. You may not have a roofing spike at home. You can use a long, thin screwdriver. Just poke it in here all the way down, and it goes in. When it comes out, it's going to have white junk on it. Okay? That means you've done it. Let me tell you what happens if you don't pierce that. You will continue pulling this trigger, and then finally it'll all come out as a blurb. Yeah. So don't let that happen to you, okay? Would you help everybody pierce their tube as well? Bill, thank you. Okay, now we can distribute those cups. I'll take that first row.
All right,
2 to each.
all right.
They can go upside down so they don't fall.
Yeah, we are. You gotta punch it. For some reason, I've done a bazillion of these.
Are you gonna tell us?
Is Toby Keith coming?
We're gonna what?
Tell us what it's called?
We're gonna have you caulk something, yeah.
Dude, I don't know what it's for.
You don't have to know. We'll let that just be
You're
a.
gonna tell us.
We're gonna tell you, yeah. Now what do I do with my clicker? There it is. Here are more. Nancy, here are more. 2 to everybody. Folks, see if you can do that quietly. See if you can do it quietly and listen now. The reason this is important is that probably half of the temperature control of your house is taking care of the leakage of your house. Okay, so that's why we're doing the caulking and weather stripping. So we're going to do one exercise here that's caulking, and then you'll each get a chance. Oh, don't fill that cup up. You know, what I'm going to ask you to do, so you can be thinking about it, is put the 2 cups together. You need to caulk between these 2 rims. Okay? Once you have caulked it, if you hold it up because it's perfect, that will be good. For everybody else, you're going to need to come back with your finger, smooth that bead of caulk around. Nancy, there's a thing of tissues there. Everybody needs to get one of those, please, before they start smoothing the caulk. Iris, you're really on top of this stuff. Now that needs to fill that crack there in between, okay? Thank you.
The correct amount that you should put. I didn't have them cut it.
How come it's not cut? Is yours cut, Bart?
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you need to do it. You absolutely need to do it. You absolutely need to do it. Okay? But I'm gonna do it with Mercy to show you what you got to do.
That's the amount
Bill?
that you normally want.
Bill, we have some recalcitrants who need to be cut here. They thought that they. I know that's what she told you, but you have to do it anyway. Here's what we're going to do. So you're going to run the bead of caulk right around this, between these 2 things. Oh, we haven't poked this one open yet. Oh, we need that big nail. Where'd it go? Okay. There's a screwdriver here too we can use. Here. Here it is. Iris, that's a very good job. So you see what we're doing, Mercy? We're going to do this too. And you don't care if you mess it up just a little bit, but you're going to fill it. Folks, you don't care if you mess it up a little bit, but you're going to fill the area between those 2 rims with a caulking material. Now, many of you may say, oh, I have already done that. Please do it. Please do this exercise. This kind of skills training depends on your muscle memory and on your mental memory. Both of those things will help you go forward and carry out this workshop. Otherwise, people, let me explain what often happens in workshops. I've been to them myself. You go to the workshop and you go home and you take the workshop material and you throw it in the trash can. You really must have the muscle memory that these kinds of exercises give you. So give it a try, please. Thank you. Crystal, that is excellent. That's superb. Yeah. Iris, that's fantastic. That could be in a museum. Have Lucy pass that up, will you? Here, pass that. Folks, when you're done, it's going to look like this. It's going to look like a museum piece. Iris did this one.
When they're done, how are they going to?
Okay, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Just a minute. Folks, listen up, please. Listen up. Once you've done the caulking exercise, pull the trigger of your gun all the way back again. If you leave it in the cocked position, this thing is going to continue spilling out on the table or in your bag or anywhere you like, right? So clean that off. Now reach into your bag and take out this silver roll of stuff. Get the roll started. Then take off a piece of the silver stuff. It comes off from the metal. It comes off from the adhesive backing. You have to use your fingernails. It tears very easily. It's just aluminum foil with adhesive on it. Take this and wrap it around the end of the caulking tube like this. Smooth it all the way around. Didn't work for me. Let me try that again. Thank you. Smooth it all the way around. Squeeze the top together. Bend the top over. How are you doing in the back there, ladies? Okay. Did you get that done? Kind of pretend that you're putting your gum on the bedpost overnight. Same thing. You don't want it to dry out. You can put that back into the plastic bag now. You won't be using it again. And that'll help keep it from drying out so much. But I don't want you to let it dry out. Take this thing home and get some caulking done this weekend, will you? Yeah. This is the thing to do. You can try it out tomorrow. Yeah. Go ahead, Patricia. Where are you going to put it? Good idea. Let's show some pictures. Always got pictures. You got 1/3 of the leakage coming through these cracks and holes you don't like. That is foundation, that's plumbing, it's electrical entrances, it's around every door and window. So take a look at the door and the window, and you may see a crack, and it looks pretty small. Those things have so many lineal feet around each door and window, they add up. Put yourself, if it's a small crack, put a small amount of caulk into it and smooth it off. If it's a large crack, if it's a very big crack, you're going to have to put something in, and they make something called backer rod. Okay? This is a kind of a foamy stuff, not unlike the material I just passed around, but this is solid. Okay? You can break it off like that to whatever distance you want, and then you can push that into the crack before you put the caulk in. That'll make the caulk last longer. Okay? Pass this back to Iris. This goes in a museum, Iris. That's a wonderful job. Both. Okay? Now, and the reason for both, again, is if you do it on the inside, the wind cannot come into the outside, but if you need to do it in both places, then you're not taking any chances, okay? Do it inside and outside wherever there's a crack, okay? What? Operable joints are doors and windows. Next thing I want you to do is reach into your bag and take out the round. Ready with the scissors, please? Take out this round roll of stuff. I'll give you a chance. The helper's going to come around and cut a 3-inch piece off for you. Would you hold this, please, Nancy? Just hold the end. Thank you. The helper's going to take it out of the wrapper, please. Now what you'll find is on this, it's got a bend in it. If you look carefully, you'll see that there's a piece of yellowish colored tape on it. Underneath that tape is adhesive. What I want you to do is bend it so that the tape is to the outside. Bend it so the tape is to the outside. Okay? So now you've got a V shape with the tape on the outside. Then use your fingernail again. Pull that piece of tape off. And let me show you what you're going to do with this. This is a door, any outside door in your house. Every one of them is leaky. And some of them, you can tell me that you can see daylight around them. That means that 115-degree temperature air is flowing through your house through that crack. You can stop that. This is how you stop it. What you're going to do is take this and put it onto the door jamb in such a way that when the door closes, it squeezes it shut, like this. This now, I can guarantee you, will stop whatever light you can see coming through, and it'll stop the 115-degree temperature air coming through today, right now, on that door. This roll is 17 feet long. That's enough for one door. Once you've done one door, go buy another roll. Give it a try here. You've taken the adhesive off. You've taken the thing off. Now I want you to adhere it to the table in front of you. Just stick it onto the table to see how it works. Now take it off the table. You can see that if you need to replace this because you put it on wrong, you get 100 chances to give it a try, and it doesn't make a mess or do anything, okay? So take the little piece you have, tape it onto the table in front of you. What we're going to do is make it so that the door closes on it and compresses it. So the pointy side will be to the outside, yes. Now when I open this door, when I open the door, it comes open again. But that's all right, because when I close the door, it compresses again. And over time, it's going to get a shape memory, and it's going to mostly close, but it's never going to close all the way, which means it's going to block that leakage point. Okay? Any questions on the weather stripping piece? Yes? The entire door. All along the top, all along the side. Yep. Rachel? No. On the bottom you'll have, that's what's called the threshold, and there are threshold things that you can buy, and every one of them is different depending on the door you've got. So get to know your Ace Hardware, your True Value Hardware, or if you can find somebody who can answer a question at Home Depot or Lowe's, you know, find somebody there. Your local hardware store is probably going to have better answers for you. You know, say, I've got a door that looks like this, and here's what the threshold looks like. What should I get? And he will tell you. Charlotte? No. That's going to be a problem, because sliding doors are typically hung, you see, and yeah, I can't get into it. I can't get into a sliding door. So what I see people doing where the sliding door isn't going to be used during some season is they just tape it shut. It seems ridiculous, but you know, 115-degree air is ridiculous too. So try some different things. And sorry, we don't have a good answer for sliding doors. By the way, where the sliding door closes, you can put that stuff right there, okay? And it will, so at least you get one edge. And that may be the best, okay? Where's my clicker? Okay, so that is, we've got cracks and holes, and we talked about what to do with that with your caulking material. We talked about operable joints. Those are doors and windows. Wherever you're double hung windows, but I understand most of you live, does anybody live in a house that's older than 20 years old? One. Only two in the room. So there's not much sense in my talking to you about double hung windows because you probably don't have them, do you? Okay. So, but if you did, then wherever that window closes, this stuff could go there as well. So that when it closes on it, whether it be a door or a window, it compresses it and keeps the air from coming through that area. Okay? Bypasses. This is a typical dryer vent. Okay? The dryer was not operating at this house at the time I took this picture. Okay? So here's the dryer vent kind of clogged open with lint sitting here. Guess what? Today, 115 degree temperature air is going right through that dryer vent and through your house, okay? You don't have to have that happen, okay? Keep these things clean, and if you can't make that thing close a whole lot tighter, then get another one, all right?
Where are the dryer vests?
On the roof. They're on the roof.
Just a minute, I hear that they're on the roof. And come to think of it, I've heard that, yeah, in New Mexico as well. For reasons I don't know, in Denver, they come out through the wall. Sidewall, that's what they do in my house as well, so. You can't do anything with the roof one. It's, to the best of my knowledge, I don't want you up there. So. Rachel, do you have an answer on that? You can clean the lint out of the tube itself, but in terms of closing the end of it, I don't know of a way. Okay, so what we've done is you apply this caulk to cracks that are 1/4 of an inch or less. You smooth to blend it with the surrounding. If you can't get, if the hole is larger than that, you've got to use foam. By the way, in every house that I've been in, where's the largest hole in the house wall? Under the kitchen sink, where that silver thing goes up against, the escutcheon goes up against the wall. Pull that out, and what you'll see is the plumber has very often opened that hole with a hammer, and he's missed, okay? You would need to get in there with a can of foam and foam that up, okay? 3 reasons, really. One is the energy reason. The other is mice and other vermin come in through that hole. Well, they do. That's right. That's how they get in the house. Okay, so stop that. Let's see, now you've made me forget my 3rd one. Bugs too, okay. Use flexible weather stripping to seal the moving joints. Use the right product for the joint. As we talked about, sliding glass door. No, we cannot use this on a sliding glass door. Sorry to say it. Check for a tight fit and adjust it. This stuff can come off, can go back on again. Be prepared to change it out periodically. It will not last forever, guaranteed, okay? These things, the caulking material probably is going to last for 20 or 30 years. Easy, okay? The weather stripping that gets a lot of back and forth probably will not.
Do you caulk everything?
Everything that's got a crack on it, on the outside of the house, do it, okay? So this is what you've got in your starter kit. Now we're going to talk about a skill set 2. Turn in your workbook to the blue sheets. And this is going to be the hardest thing for some of you rational people to do that you have done all day long. And the reason is I'm going to ask you to do something that is irrational. I'm going to ask you to move your finger along a line. So looking at this worksheet here, this says, I'm sorry, I've got the numbers wrong. It says simple still skill set 7 and 8. It's in the wrong order. Turn it up. Daytime cooling temperature. I want you to take your finger, put it to the left of that line, and move it to the right to whatever feels comfortable and stop. Okay? Don't even tell me where it is, but come on down to the refrigerator temperature. Take your finger, put it on the left-hand side, move it to the right to warmer. Now you might say, how much warmer? In your bag, you've got a little bag, another little bag, a bag within a bag. I can't find it. Of a thermometer. Can I use yours, please? What you have here is a thermometer. It has marked on it a safe cooling temperature for freezers and refrigerators. These things are set at the factory cold enough, very cold, because they don't want any complaints about it's not cooling well enough. You do not need to cool it beyond the point of the food safety point. So hang this thermometer in your refrigerator, and when you come back and see that it's colder than that temperature point, turn the dial down. That is what we just did. We turned the refrigerator temperature warmer. That's what you just did here, okay? You're going to do it in real life when you go back here and put this thermometer in. By the way, 1 out of 10 of you will find that the refrigerator and freezer are much warmer than the temperature indicated here. You got a problem, and it's a safety problem for your family, and you need to correct it. Most often it means that the coils on the bottom are completely occluded with pet hair and dirt. You got to get under the refrigerator and clean them off, folks, because two reasons. Number one is you're paying through the nose for that refrigerator to be cooling, and it can't cool because it can't dump the heat. Okay? So it runs and runs and runs and runs up your power bill. Okay? Second thing is that it is causing your utility company to keep feeding power to it at very expensive prices on the spot market. Okay? Not so good. That's costing you double money. The third thing is if that food is not the temperature you think it ought to be in the temperature safety zone, then you're getting family illness that you can't trace to anything. You think it's a touch of the flu, you think it's a cold. No, it's not. It's food poisoning. And you're getting it because you don't have your temperature control. Take care of that, okay?
No, Tom, I wanted to talk about something. We had the phone conversation, and he said people turn their refrigerators down because their coils are dirty, and that's why they're turning it down. So I thought about that. 2 weeks ago, I went and pulled my refrigerator out, took the back off, got that little coil brush, got a whole bunch of dirt, got the vacuum out, put it back together. I was happy, hadn't touched anything. Go in the next week, and my wife's going off on me because the refrigerator is freezing the lettuce and the crisper in the bottom. Okay.
Yeah, once you do that, once you clean off those coils, you're going to be able to turn your refrigerator warmer, and you're going to be saving money right away.
Well, my new refrigerator is sealed.
Steel is okay. Under the bottom of it, let's go back to basics a little bit. The same kind of evaporation and phase change material that we're talking about that cools us is used for cooling in refrigerators. It's a heat pump, really. It's taking the small amount of heat it can find in the box that you call a refrigerator, and it's dumping it into the house. It has to dump that heat into the house. If it can't, it just keeps running, trying to do that. What you see as a big steel door is fine, but back there is a compressor, a little motor-looking thing that looks like this, okay? It keeps chugging away and compressing the thing and letting them evaporate, and that's where the cooling comes from. The same kind of cooling that you get, okay? Evaporative cooling, okay? However, that compressor gets hot, and doing that work, which is what it's doing, makes things hot too. It's got to dump that heat. So every refrigerator has got a compressor, and it's got some coils that it then dumps heat from. Those coils sometimes in the old-fashioned refrigerators used to be lined up along the back, okay? And maybe it is for an old one. Well, but most of them are underneath the refrigerator, and there's a fan that blows, because what they found was that people were putting the refrigerators into alcoves that were so close that no air would go up the back, and they let them get dirty. So now they say, we're going to put a fan here and not worry that the consumer will do it, okay, and we're going to blow air over those coils. So the fan is trying to blow, the compressor's doing its job, you got to get those coils clean, okay? Turn the page, please. You need a brush.
Your vacuum sweeper.
Vacuum sweeper will get some of it. Get in there with a brush if you can, because sometimes, if you have pet in the house, by the way, those things can clog up in less than a month. So keep a look at it every once in a while, okay? Turn the page. Now we got turning it up, nighttime cooling temperature. Put your finger to the left of that line. Move it to the right. Please do that, Crystal. The reason is that this is muscle memory, folks. Even though it sounds silly, I know it sounds silly, it's muscle memory that will help you do these things when you go home. She told you not to. Charlene, don't distract her. Okay. Freezer temperature, put your finger to the left, move it to the right, a silly exercise. What? Oh, I'm taking yours. Look at that.
It's okay.
Dutch?
We're sharing.
You're sharing, okay. Okay, turn to the next page. Now we're turning things down. Nighttime heating temperature. You don't have that much of a deal here, and you probably don't do that. Water heater temperature. How hot does it need to be? Here's one explanation I heard for that, by the way. Turn it way down. Keep turning it down a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit, until somebody in the household complains. Then notch it up. Leave it there, okay? What you'll often find is that thing can be way down there because your tank is large enough to give you all the hot water use you need, okay? So don't overdo it. Turn it down, turn it down, turn it down until you get a complaint.
What about hot water tank? Blanket.
Yeah, good. Dishwasher, put your finger to the right and move it to the left. What we don't want is a hot air dry. No, in your climate, folks, you do not need a New Jersey hot air dryer for your dishes, honestly, okay? Turn the page. Now you've got daytime heating temperature. Again, not a big deal for you here in Maricopa. You've got clothes wash temperature. We can move that to cool or cold. By the way, if you've got one of your kids come home with a cold or a flu or something, go ahead and notch that temperature back up again. You know, you don't want to encourage the growth of germs and the like. Same with the water temperature in the dishwasher. You may want to put the sanitizer cycle on, okay? If you've got some junky clothes, as an example, also, you may not want to do cool. Gary, I would say even every once in a while, run the thing with really hot water and bleach if you've got a hygienic problem in the house. It happens to everybody, okay? Don't feel like you have to do these things all the time, all right? Finally, on the dishwasher, you got something called a hot water boost. Okay, you're able to disable that by turning it off. Do it. Put your finger to the right of that and move to the left. That fly. I need to point out the candle. Okay. Where am I? Here it is. Okay, we're moving very quickly now. So what you're doing is changing the factory settings, which are in most cases not serving you all that well. Let's move down to the very bottom bullet there, incandescent bulbs. Turn them off, or better, change those incandescent bulbs out to CFLs, and then turn them off. What we find is, people say, well, I've got a three-way. They are available. They're quite expensive, okay? Dutch was just showing me, show me your LED again, will you, Dutch? Here's an LED from Japan, China.
China.
Gee, it used to be in the old days, wasn't it? The Japanese stuff was cheap. Now, that's right, now. 108 LEDs in one light bulb, okay? $3.95. Amazon. Okay, that thing is going to last forever. So when I say change to CFLs, recognize that CFLs are a transition technology. Probably 10 years from now, you'll be telling your grandchildren about CFLs. They won't even be around. We're moving toward the LEDs very, very quickly, much quicker than even the industry thought. So this is the kind of thing we're going to be seeing. Start changing out those incandescent bulbs. The incandescent bulb, by the way, incandesce means heat hot enough to glow, okay? That's what they do. 90% of that heat does not go to glowing. 90% of it just goes to infrared heat. 10% goes to glowing, okay? These things do much better, of course, and they last longer. Yeah, yep. So this is all you'll see in a while, but for now, get those incandescents changed out for CFLs. In many cases, the CFLs are actually going to last long enough that when they fail, you'll be replacing them with LEDs. My guess. Tips for adjusting it: don't overdo it. Maintain your comfort and your function. Make small changes. Always check with your family's lifestyle. Charlotte, tell us, you've had a chance now to think about it. How does your family get along with your ideas of saving energy that may cause them some inconvenience? How do you get around that? Because, okay, interesting way to put it. I might say, though, as Rachel said, get the kids involved in this so that it's not a burden on them. And in fact, even say to them, you know what, we're going to try to save 25% in this household. If you kids can help us do this, okay, and here are the 5 things I want you to do, and take a look at this checklist, by the way, and assign some of them to the kids. If you guys can help with this, I'm going to share the money we save with you, and we'll go out for some kind of nice dinner or something.
They love to like go through and unplug all the chargers and make sure they.
Wow.
If it's not being used, it needs to be unplugged. Everything except for the refrigerator. So that's basically how I keep down electricity. Also have aluminum foil and foam on my small heater.
Excellent. Excellent. Love to hear it. By the way, but rather than having to unplug it, put these things on, put many of your things onto a charger or onto a plug strip like this, It does two things, by the way. In our part of the world where we've got lightning strikes all the time, this actually saves the electronic equipment. Okay, so these things, it will absorb part of a lightning strike, and so it saves your electric equipment. The other thing, though, it's got on and off switch. So you can do it off the thing every night and say, hey kids, instead of having to unplug everything, just go ahead and flip this switch, all 5 of the things that are in here. Mainly printers, everything in your office really, except many of the things in your office that do not need to be there. Also, as you point out, things that are charging all the time that don't need to be charging all the time. Just be aware, though, that if you try to plug your cell phone in here to recharge and it's dead, you're going to have a dead battery. So, okay, but you've learned that already. But get to use more of these plug strips. I don't know if you're much garage sailors. I like garage sailing, but you can buy these things. I will not pay more than $1 for a plug strip. Okay, that's about the right price. They cost you $6 to $8 at Home Depot or somewhere. If you can buy them for less than $5, do it. You'll actually save that much money. Turns out that parasitic energy of all these electronic things that are plugged in is now in California 10% of the entire electric bill. Okay? That's when things that are plugged in that are using more power, plasma TVs as an example, in many households using more power off than they do on. Okay? That's crazy. We don't need to do that, folks. You will find, by the way, if you have cable TV and others, that some cable TVs will have to reset, and it takes them 2 minutes to do that. It's a real nuisance. And many cable TV people say, I've got 3 TVs, one of them has to reset. I'm not going to put it on the plug strip. I'll put the other 2 on. Okay? Any other questions? Gary? Okay, good.
Should we turn the computer off? Ours is plugged in one of those strips. Should we turn it off? Because it has a green light on the strip, and then it has a light, it got a lot of lights. You have a lot of those
Don't know.
lights on.
Yeah, those are weird. I would turn it to off, yeah. Now, I don't want to say about your strip, because some of them have a telephone on them as well. On the other hand, I don't think that they're turned off there. They're just charge controllers or charge reducers for the phone. So, yeah, I'd say turn them off, see what happens. Okay? It's not going to do any damage. Be ready to just turn it around if situations change, and show others how easy it is to save energy this way while hardly affecting comfort or function. So you've got a dial thermometer in there. It's got magnetic and adhesive mountings, and most of them have the little hook on them also, so you can hang it in place. It may take a couple of hours, by the way, for the thing to stabilize. Once it stabilizes, you'll mostly find that it's running too cold. Find out where the controls are in your refrigerator. Turn the control to warmer if it's too cold. Okay? In your bag, you've also got a 13-watt or a 15-watt compact fluorescent lamp. Demand peak reduction. We're not going to talk about this a lot, but you have a time of use rate here, and what we're trying to attack with the time of use rate is this kind of energy use that is disproportionate on hot days like this because of air conditioning. You can reduce your bills with ED3's time of use rate that saves you, and it will save 10 to 40% of the prime energy, and it keeps the longer term bill. But you can read some of the reasons. When is it important? It's 1/3 the cost if you will buy that power from 9 at night till 9 in the morning. This is called peak from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. So you've got a fairly simple time of use rate. It's either on or it's off. Many of the things that you do, you can do off peak, anticipating. We have this thing here, by the way. We probably get more fun with this than anything else. This is something that many people are using now to help peak. What you do with this during this season is you put this in the freezer tonight and let it freeze. Then you take it out and put it in the refrigerator tomorrow. Then tomorrow night you put it back in the freezer. And the next day okay, what you do, we call it the ice shuttle. And what it does is it uses off-peak electricity to freeze it, and then this helps cool the refrigerator during the day so the refrigerator doesn't run so much. So you're saving energy and you're saving demand peak as well. Major peak conditions are air conditioning, refrigeration, and all of the usual. You need to dress in lighter clothes, take advantage and lighter colored clothing, and maintain high airflows around people. Dan, were you saying that, or Paul, were you saying everybody's got fans, ceiling fans?
Every house I've ever lived in set, in every bedroom you sleep in, there's a ceiling fan blowing air around to keep that moving and to kind of cool you as you
Yep.
sleep. I don't know if everybody here agrees. Does anybody in here not have a ceiling fan in their bedroom? Okay, well, get your husbands, get them up there.
It'll make a big difference in your comfort. By the way, did you notice that ceiling fans have a switch on them? They blow down and they blow up. Typically, in a climate like Denver, you want the thing to blow up during the winter because you don't want it to blow onto people. Why not? Because when you blow it on, it cools the people. Right, exactly right. But if you blow it up, then it takes the hottest air off the ceiling and moves it around. Since you don't have so much of a heating problem here, I could imagine that some of you are going to just set it so that it blows down. Take a look at it. Feel under it. If it's uncomfortable when it blows down, you might want to try it, by the way, blowing it up and see what happens. Amaret?
With these high ceilings that we have too, I noticed that when we moved into the house that we bought, that the ceiling fan was actually up too high. You tie the suspension arms to the
Great idea. And you wonder why the builder didn't do that. It absolutely will. And in fact, when we talk about the major difference in heating and cooling, that of 3-degree temperature difference, that's how we get there, is getting the air moved around people. Okay? Gary?
I do have a question on that note. In comparison, does anybody know about what the cost is to run the fans in comparison, and also the plug-in fans? My wife has.
Far less. About 1/10 as much as running the air conditioning. Okay? So the savings are significant. The air conditioning, by the way, people think about these things being big chunks of money. They're not big chunks of money, but they eat away at you. So that it may only cost you 50 cents to $1 to run the air conditioning during peak time, but the number of hours finally adds up so that at the end of the month you're paying a huge number. I understand that some of you are paying as much as $250. Yeah, 400, 500. Wow, 500, 600. I mean, you can do something about that, and what we've talked about in this class is all about that. Absolutely. The ceiling fan only works by cooling humans. It's not cooling the house. And all it's doing is moving air around, and worse than that, it has its own heat generation. Take a look at this, folks. Every kilowatt hour of energy you put into the house, for any reason, turns to heat that fast. Whether it be for a radio, for the TV, for anything that has nothing to do with heating, it turns into heat that fast. So when you look at your bill and see that you're running 700 to 1,500 kilowatt hours a month, and only half of that's your air conditioning, the other half of it is heating. Okay? You need to cut that other energy use out. Let's see if I've got some pictures of refrigerators. Peak action, we can talk about that. You can look at that. We didn't talk about refrigerators too much. This is your favorite thing to get at the Home Depot or big box store. 2-inch foam insulation is kind of pinkish purplish. It'll cost you $17 a sheet. However, this goes up on the top of your refrigerator. Now, everybody's got a refrigerator top, and 2/3 of you put stuff on top of the refrigerator, right? Okay? The other 1/3 don't. We don't know why, but okay. They could be plants. They could be dogs. I actually, at one time, went into a house where there was a jaguar on top of the refrigerator, and he didn't like me as I walked past, reaching down. Anyway, you don't need whatever, the jaguar or whatever. This thing goes on top of your refrigerator. Then all the stuff goes on top of it. All right? Don't do this if you don't have enough room back there, by the way, for the air to come up. That air's got to come up. In this case, it's got to go down and get blown by the fan over the coils. So don't tighten your refrigerator in the alcove that it's in, okay? Leave some room there. If you've got the room, though, put this 2 inches of foam on the top. If you don't have 2 inches, put 1 inch of foam on the top. If you don't have 1 inch, take what we call bubble foil, which was in that package of stuff I sent around. Okay, that comes by the roll, 50 cents a square foot. You tape it onto the side of the refrigerator where the refrigerator is covered by a cabinet, or on the other side where it's covered by a wall. Nobody ever sees it there. You tape it onto the side of the refrigerator. Okay? You put this preferably on top of the refrigerator With the other things that you'll find in the almanac here, the 10 different ways to reduce energy use in the refrigerator, that's one of them, and that is re-insulate the refrigerator. You will drop the refrigerator energy use by 25%, okay? The refrigerator is your biggest appliance energy user. Folks, if you can get it out of the garage, get it out of the garage. We just can't have them there.
Can you talk about what temperature you need to have your refrigerator at? You gave me service, the thermometer, but can you talk about the safety?
It's written on the thermometer.
Okay, good.
So the thermometer's got a safety range for refrigerating and freezing.
And FDA says 40 degrees. I just didn't want to have a whole vacuum.
No. Yeah, 35 to 40, I think, is what's on the, 37 to 40 is what's on the thermostat. Say it, say it again?
We had our house with that heat barrier, and this metal.
Yep, very good.
To the roof.
Yep,
Because we got sick and tired of $100 electric bill.
excellent, excellent.
And we had a garage done.
Yep,
The door to our garage, we had, what's that little thing you had going around? About this thin.
Yep.
With the metal.
yeah,
My garage sometimes is cooler than inside the house with here.
wow, wow.
It's about 80 degrees.
Yeah, getting shields up, in radiant barriers wherever you can, in the attic, in the walls, everywhere, makes a big difference here.
Over the garage and the front. Really.
I think so. Folks, I don't want to, let me move ahead. I think that's good. Yep. Let's review and then wrap it up, okay? We have 3 key points with our introduction. You can save 25% with little impact and no major investment. You can save another 25% with retrofit investment. CEDAR, C-E-D-A-R, conservation before efficiency, and way at the end of that is renewables. Don't jump into the renewables right away, even though it's highly visible. The neighbors will love it, and you'll have great cocktail party conversation. Don't do it. Take care of this simple stuff first, okay?
Why are you saying don't do it?
You do it in order. So get the conservation, get the efficiency, get the demand peak taken care of, then you move on to the others, okay? Do it in order. 3 key points about conservation and efficiency. Temperature control is 50% or more of your home's on-site energy budget is a good target. You can gain personal comfort at far less cost. You weigh less than 80 tons, we hope. And so you can cool yourself a lot easier. Understanding heat transfer from a person or a building leads you to better energy decisions. 3 key points about low-cost measures. Air leaks in a home contribute the most to excess cooling and heating loads. Many of those are easily blocked. We've had skills training to show you how to do that. And adjusting the factory heat settings will save you a lot of energy. Key points about demand reduction. Save big money immediately on the time of use rate. Call your representative. Bill, maybe you can help us. Might there be somebody who, if they call, could explain to them in simple terms how the rate would be advantageous to somebody?
How the rate?
Yeah, TOU, time of use rate.
Can explain the rates. We have them online, they're on our website. The
The
information.
sheet says that it's first come, first served. Is that already told? No.
It's not first come, first served? No, for time of use rates. Time of use rates are an opportunity for saving big money immediately if you've got the discipline, to use your major cooling loads, pre-cool the house with the very low-cost electricity, and then let the house ride through the day. So there would be a case where we don't say the same kind of thing of shutting it down, okay? But talk to your rep about that, about different ways you can get out on that rate. We want to focus on maintaining personal comfort and reduce all the other heat-producing loads in the summer. Again, every bit of electricity that goes into your house turns into heat right away, okay? You don't need that extra heat because now you have to replace it. Other questions?
Yes.
Much?
Does ED3 do energy audits?
Question is, does ED3 do energy audits?
No, we don't, but there's a number of people around the area that do.
Okay. I believe, by the way, my personal belief is if you will do all the conservation first, you need to do that before you do an energy audit.
Oh, I've done it.
Okay,
I've done it, so I don't want to put no more money in the house until I know where it's going.
sure. Good idea. Okay, so here's your homework. Take a look at your workbook again. May I look at that? What you have here at the end of that in your tan sheets is the checklist. If you'll do these things when you go home, You're going to be in great shape. Don't throw it away, folks. If you don't want to use it, give it to somebody who can use it, all right? And finally, turn 2 pages on. You'll find the canary sheet. It's a 2-sheet evaluation. It's going to take you about 1.5 minutes to fill that out. Very much appreciate if you would do that. Rip that out right now, by the way. Take those 2 yellow canary sheets. Just tear them out of the package so you've got them loose. You're going to put some notes on there, put a few or put a lot, and then leave that right there at your place, and ED3 will pick that up. So check off your action checklist. Hang up and rely on your almanac. You've only got 5 weeks left on it, but you'll find some interesting things there. Tell one friend or family member about just one of these efficiency ideas that work for you. And if there's a green team or a green advisory group, join it. If there isn't one, start one. Okay, this has been the briefest of exposures to this information. You're ready to take action. Who can save 25% from what you've learned today? Very good. Anybody going to go for 50%? All right, Charlotte. Good. Love to see it. Yeah, boy, you guys are on top of it. Go for it. Okay? I want reports back. You know, when I come again, I want to hear from you just what you did, okay? Now, some people might say, Dutch just said, I've pretty much done all of these things, da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to guess that if I went to Dutch's house, though, he did not insulate his refrigerator, okay? I'm going to guess, and I'm going to go through a number of other things. Often we think we've done things because we mean well and we know well, okay? But sometimes we don't get around to doing it, okay? I want you guys to actually do it.
My wife won't allow it.
And the wife won't allow it. Okay, that's legitimate.
Bubble around the refrigerator, say, get the hell out.
No, do it in the area where the counter is. Nobody sees it.
Yeah, but it's open on 3 sides.
No. Okay, I didn't explain that well enough then. Okay, stay around after we finish. If you have any other questions or comments on how this affects you and would like some answers about your particular house, be glad to answer those. And again, to the management of Electric District 3 for their support, thanks so much. And to you for your interest. And get out there and do it, folks. This is 90 minutes of your life. Okay? If you don't do something about it, this is 90 minutes that was wasted. Don't let that happen. Okay? Thanks again. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
I got one the city could do. These homes they're building, they can up the code. So
They could.